welcome all to the May 18th, 2026 Town of New Paltz Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Entertain a motion to open the meeting.
Move to open.
All those in favor by aye?
Aye.
Aye, it is. Okay, so the meeting's officially open. In attendance, we have Steve Esposito, John Gatto, Leonard Loza, Heather Lai, John Decker, and our attorney, Joseph Moriello. We have a full board this evening. Okay, first item on the agenda, if you would please, a quorum check for our June 15th meeting. Steve? John?
Tentative.
Tentative. So John's a maybe. I will be here. Heather?
Yes.
John Decker? Yes?
Yes.
Joe?
Should be, yeah.
Okay, so we have 4 yeses and 1 maybe. Okay, the minutes from the April 20th meeting, any comments on the minutes? No? No? Okay, and entertain a motion to approve the minutes as approved. Seconded by Steve. All those in favor by aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, minutes have been approved. The next item on the agenda has to do with public comments. And I would ask if you are here to speak on the dispensary sign application that you'd wait till we open the public hearing so that it becomes the official part of the record. Your comments become part of that. Anyone here to speak on anything else? Yes. Okay, okay. Okay, entertain a motion to open the public hearing for the area variance for Farmer's Choice location at 1 Old Route 299. Stephen seconds it. All those in favor by aye? Aye, it is. Okay, if you would please come forward. You got to talk to TV Land. Tell us what you,
Anything here today or
either one.
sit with you guys, if you don't mind?
Okay, if you would state your name so that they'll know who you are.
Sharif Jamal with Farmer's Choice Cannabis Dispensary.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm here on behalf of Farmer's Choice for the variance for the sign. I believe we submitted the application. I think you guys sent it over to Ulster County Planning Board. And opened the public comment period, just looking to see if we can move forward or if we were gonna.
okay, can you state for the record what you want?
I actually don't have the application in front of me. I'm sorry. I think it was a variance for 156 square foot sign.
Correct. Okay, the permitted use is,
32 square feet.
okay, so there we are. Okay, at this point, we can have comments from the public. If you would like to speak, the microphone is there. Please come forward.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't, maybe you could take that microphone back to your seat. That's okay.
Okay,
State your name, please.
it's Judith RTV. I live behind that building.
Okay,
I own the field that's behind the building. Before your building was built, there were a lot of trees there. It kind of sheltered our property and the properties around us from all the noise of 299. The sign seems to be a bit excessive. So my comment is, I think it's a little bit too big.
okay.
You know, I don't mind having it bigger than allowances, but what they're planning on building seems to be awfully large.
Okay,
My other comment about this property is that a lot of the trees were cut down. And my property there's a stone wall fence that separates your property from mine. And I imagine that there's gonna be a lot of, traffic, a lot of noise from your building, so possibly, you could plant more trees between, at the back of your property and to shelter mine or a fence. And there's other properties, there's 5 north of Hyvel Road, there's 3 north of Hyvel Road, and there's 7 north of Hyvel Road. We are directly affected by what's happening in this building.
Okay, let me ask you a question. The silo that was supposed to go on the building,
Yeah,
will that be going on the building?
that will be going on the building, but there's a large delay in it, so we're actually gonna apply to get the temp CO to have like another several months to install the silo at a later date.
Okay, do you need to go back in front of the planning board for this?
I think it's on as a part of their May 28th meeting for an administrative business. I don't know if I actually have to be at that planning board meeting. I plan on talking to Lyle about it tomorrow.
Okay, so,
But I don't think that has anything to do with the
Yeah.
variant we're applying. for.
Shouldn't
So
we
I
be
don't
talking
really
about
want
the
to get
sign?
into
That's-
silos or fences or tree
Okay.
disturbance, because we want to really just stay on the sign agenda here.
okay,
But I think it's too big.
thank you.
Okay.
Um,
Fair enough.
yeah, anybody else care to say, please come forward? State your name for the record if you would.
My name is Jennifer Wells, Town of New Paltz Planning Board member. And I came here to read this letter into the record that was submitted to this board. And also I wanted to say, we also were upset about the trees being cut. They were not supposed to be cut, as per our whole site plan approval. But I do think it goes hand in hand with the large sign. So the letter reads as follows. Dear Chair Leonard Loza, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. We are submitting this comment regarding the requested PB 26-074 area variance by Farmers Choice Dispensary. Our concern is that the proposed signage does not comply with the Town of New Paltz Town Code Article 8 signs, section 140-109A, that reads wall signs with or without border up to 1 square foot per 2 linear feet of building structure frontage, or a maximum of 32 square feet, whichever is less. The applicant is requesting an area variance for 156 square foot building sign, which is almost 5 times the maximum allowable size. Key issues. The size of the sign is not in keeping with the character of the Town of New Paltz, and allowing for a sign this size can set a precedent for future requests for oversized signs. Requested action. Do not approve applicant's request for an area variance, allowing for a sign that is 124 square feet above the maximum 32 square feet stated in the Town of New Paltz Town Code. Thank you for your consideration in ensuring code compliance and regard for maintaining the small town character that the Town of New Paltz is known for. Sincerely, Town of New Paltz Planning Board.
Thank you. We all have a copy of that letter? No, we do.
Yeah, I think the planning board submitted that letter. Is it typical for a planning board to show up and read the letter that they submitted to the ZBA, or is that?
Either one, as
Yeah.
a public or a concerned member, because if she didn't read it, I was gonna read it.
Okay,
So,
We just want to make sure that in a prior incident, the letter was misplaced.
right, this is going to become part of the record.
And we do feel very
Yeah.
strongly about this.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there anyone else to speak in regard to the public hearing? Please come forward.
Lauren Ingracia. I'm also, my property butts up to to their property. And it has been grossly exposed by all of the, construction that's been going there. Exposed not only, through the cutting down of the trees, but also exposed with noise. And this sign is going to thus expose us to a lot of undue light that is going to affect our property
Okay.
and our property's whole character. In that we have been residents of North Ohioville Road for generations, and we have seen what has gone through and what has come through on that whole corner and that whole area. And this is a gross change that I think is not in the character of Ohioville. And I think this needs to be renegotiated. 5 times the size of what New Paltz allows, I think is terribly excessive. And as a resident of the property, and a longtime resident in this area, I feel that this is not appropriate.
Thank you. I thank the both of your comments, and we will definitely take them into consideration. Is there anyone else to speak in regard to the public hearing for the zoning board? No one? Entertain a motion to close the public. Joe?
Before you close, do you have a recommendation from the county planning board
Oh, I do.
that should?
Okay, this is the time to put it in? Okay, so first of all, let's start with, I would like to entertain a motion to submit the letter from the New Paltz Planning Board as a matter of record in the public hearing as read by Ms. Wells from the planning board. You second that, Steve? Okay, all those in favor by aye? Aye, it is. Okay. Here, please add that to the record. The second letter I have in regard to comment is from our building inspector, Lyle Nolan. And I believe everyone here should have a copy of that letter also. I'm going to read that. Lyle Nolan, Director, Planning and Zoning Code Enforcement. Subject, a public comment of Farmer's Choice Area Variance per sign ZB 26-074. Zoning board members, I don't believe this area variance should be approved for the following reasons. The Article 8 signs chapter 140-97 details the purpose of this legislation. Article 8 signs. The purpose of this article is enacted pursuant to the municipal home rule law and to the town law to promote and protect public health, safety, and comfort, convenience, economy, town aesthetics, and the general welfare of the New Paltz community, and or for the following additional purposes. Letter A, protect and enhance the unique visual qualities of New Paltz. Letter B, conform to the guidelines and intent of the comprehensive master plan of the town of New Paltz. Letter C, encourage the installation of appropriate signs that harmonize with the buildings, neighborhood, and other signs in the area. Letter D, eliminate excessive and unsightly competition for visual attention through signs. Letter E, safeguard the general public by elimination of signs which may distract a motorist and or contribute to the hazards of driving. Letter F, create a more attractive economic and business climate. Letter G, preserve citizens' right to a customer means to earn a living. Letter H, protect property values. Letter I, maintain a standard of quality of all signs. Letter J, protect free speech and expression as guaranteed by both federal and state constitutions. Letter K, provide a method for the implementation of this article reasonably related to the foregoing purposes and to the objectives sought to be promoted by the community consistent with its comprehensive master plan. All purposes A through K are relevant to this application for the area variance. Farmer's Choice is not actually located on Route 299. It is located on Old Route 299, a semi-parallel street adjacent to Route 299. There should be no exception that a sign is visible or readable from any street other than the road it fronts on. In this case, the building and proposed sign are 60 feet from frontage street, Old Route 299. The appropriately sized sign on neighboring business Orel, Mexico is visible and readable from the south side of Route 299 at the Hyoville stoplight. Approving this variance would gut the intent of the sign code and set a precedence. Mobile, Shell, Blue Moon, Oriel Mexico, Ohioville Consignments, Country Farms, Gasland, Living Seed, Ultra Seal, Best In, CPD are all businesses in the Gateway area that could be possibly want to increase their sign visibility. Signed, Lyle Nolan. Okay, what I'd like to do is entertain a motion to submit this into the record.
I'll move that.
Thank you, John. All those in favor by aye? Okay, so I will give you this copy. Okay. The next item as a member, as a recommendation from the Ulster County Planning Board, Leonard Loza, Town of New Paltz Zoning Board of Appeals, P O Box 550, New Paltz, New York. Farmer's Choice area variance. The applicant is requesting a sign variance for a proposed 156.25 square foot sign where only a 32-foot sign is allowed, located on Old Route 299 in the business district. Recommendation, advisory comment. The Ulster County Planning Board typically recommends, absent compelling evidence that clearly indicates that the benefit desired cannot be achieved through the use of a conforming signage. We recommend disapproval of this request. In this instance, however, the siting of the proposed structure and its view focuses on Route 299 rather than just Old Route 299. It creates something of a unique situation. The applicant has provided several sign alternatives, but has not gone so far as to provide photorealistic simulation that would provide greater content for the appearance of the wall signs types from the 299 corridor. The Ulster County Planning Board recommends that the applicant conduct post-simulation testing to provide greater clarity, which will help the ZB determine the minimum variance necessary to achieve the desired result. Signed by Robert Leibowitz, Principal Planner. Carbon copy sent to Lyle Nolan, Ulster County Planning Board. I'd like to enter this into the record also as a recommendation of no from the Ulster County Planning Board. Do I have a second for that? Second,
I don't know if that's their conclusion.
I wouldn't say it's a recommendation of no.
He said normally we would say no, but this represents a special
Case,
case
Case.
in their view.
and they need more
So-
information, and they suggested more information.
Yeah, so let's get it in the record as that, not.
okay. Well, I would come to that when we have our discussion after,
Okay,
all right?
so the letter itself, I moved to go into the record as is.
As is, yes. Okay, the next item we need to go through is to ask the applicant, there are John,
So,
please.
I think there was an additional letter from the building, code enforcement officer, Mr. Nolan. It was brief, but it has some visual.
Yeah.
Some visual aids that he had.
So it was intended to just put into the record.
Okay.
It shows the different size examples that we submitted and what the actual
Okay, so,
allowable use is by comparison.
okay, so I would ask that we submit the signs as the variety of signs as suggested. Did this go to the county planning board, Melissa? The variety?
There was a version of it, but it was submitted by the applicant.
We submitted
That
the
is
other.
something that Lyle's.
Yeah, the same one they showed you guys with it actually on the building.
Yeah,
And then Lyle made these ones with
Remember last month he had a whole bunch of these
Mhm.
with the different sizes?
Yeah, and it showed the different dimensions for each one.
So I would submit this letter.
That's what he emailed me, in regard, I guess, to different options as part of the comment for the ZB, or for the variance.
Well, let me ask you this.
It's an email from Lyle Nolan dated Thursday, April 30th, 2026.
So let me ask you this, since we didn't get a conclusive recommendation from the county planning board yet, do we need to extend the public hearing until,
I don't know that you're going to get an additional recommendation from the county planning board. They make a recommendation inside the letter that says the applicant has provided several sign alternatives, but has not gone so far as to provide a photorealistic simulation that would provide greater context for the appearance of the wall sign types. The Ulster County Planning Board recommends that the applicant conduct post-stimulation testing to provide greater clarity, which will help the ZBA determine the minimum variance necessary to achieve.
so this is neither a yay or a nay from the,
Well, they're making a recommendation that I think that the board may want to consider additional information from the applicant along the lines set forth in their
But-
recommendation. If you need to continue the public hearing.
but the recommend,
That you could do that.
but the recommendation as it's presented is hundred and 56 square feet as opposed to the allowable 30.
Right, and the Ulster County Planning Board recommends that there be some additional testing to provide greater clarity, which will help the ZBA determine the minimum variance necessary to achieve the desired benefit. They're suggesting additional information come from the applicant and that the board consider that additional.
Well, we have that additional information right here. Yes,
This is actually the additional information that Lyle provided based off, I think, what the Ulster County Planning Board was recommending.
so,
Well,
Which is very similar to what I already submitted with.
These went to the board, right? The
Yeah.
Ulster County Board?
yes, yes.
So they had this, so they're suggesting something other than.
They're looking for something that says photorealistic.
so,
So
let-
more along the lines of what Lyle provided, maybe?
so,
Yeah, I guess like this, because it looks.
so let me ask you this, as it's presented to us, it's a yes or a no on the 156 square feet.
No,
We
necessarily.
we don't have the right to say, well, you can have an 84 square foot sign. That's,
But you do.
we do.
Again, remember, the area variance, like other area variances, it's a balancing test of the 5 factors that you're probably gonna get to with the applicant. And the board balances those factors to come to a reasonable conclusion. That's why I think the planning board is looking for additional information that will help the board.
So,
But are you gonna get a recommendation from the planning board that says grant this or don't grant that? I don't think so. They've given you their recommendation. Get some additional information and then make a decision. Now, the applicant can argue that point and say, I don't want anything less than 156.25 square feet.
well, that's what's presented.
That's
No, well, I presented some additional options as well, so we're definitely willing to work with the ZBA to come up with the solution that you guys will feel is appropriate for the project. That's why we did submit the additional sizing.
Joe?
Yeah.
Does anybody here have the expertise to determine, any member of this board have the expertise to determine what is appropriate? I don't.
You have as members of the zoning board of appeals, it's your job to take all those things into account. If you feel that you do not have enough information to make that decision, you might consider requiring the applicant to put in simulated signs. You might ask the applicant to put in some sort of opinion from, let's say, experts on signage and visibility and distance from highways, taking into account speed limits and that kind of routine, to help you make a decision about what might be an appropriate size on a sign, given the issues presented.
We are viewing a sign as something with letters and writing on it. When you go down that road, when that silo is on that building, that will be a sign.
I have to argue that that silo will not represent what's actually happening in that business. The silo does not, nowhere on it say Farmer's Choice Cannabis Dispensary. It is just a silo in itself. So I don't think anybody driving by a farm right now that has a silo on it pulls in and says, that must be a retail dispensary. I understand that it'll definitely be, you know, an attraction on the building, but it will not actually have a sign on it.
Hey, wait, can I just leave, I got this now. I Googled sign definition. A sign is broadly defined as an object, action, or gesture that conveys information, a meaning, or a warning. It can be visible, notice, a symbol for a concept, or an action used to express intent. And then it goes on to discuss more on that. I mean, signage is an interesting thing. That there's a reason why McDonald's and Burger King choose those colors. Oh,
Oh, I'm just curious at the philosophy that the silo represents a sign. I've never heard of such a thing. I mean, does anybody else agree with this
I have a
philosophy?
I have a question. Is this your only outlet? Is this the first outlet, or are there other outlets under that brand?
There's another Farmer's Choice Cannabis Dispensary in Fishkill, which is inline in a plaza, which just has a sign, and there is no silo representing.
Is the silo in any way part of your brand? Is it on any marketing? Is it
It's on some logo material as a background silhouette of a barn with a silo, but then it always says Farmer's Choice Dispensary.
Understand that. So then it is not a standalone aspect. It is part of a brand. It's part of something that you've marketed to be part of your brand.
I would be hesitant to state that. We have multiple different logo trademarks that we use.
Okay.
But the brand itself would just be Farmer's Choice Cannabis Dispensary. I wouldn't say that the brand is represented by a barn, which in fact, the other project is not in a barn, it's in a plaza. So I wouldn't say that a barn and a silo represent Farmer's Choice Cannabis Dispensary exclusively.
okay. We have to do the 5 questions. Now, have you seen these 5 questions?
I have seen them previously. yeah.
Okay.
I've seen them.
So for area variances, the applicant should be prepared to address. So under your recommendation, do we close the public hearing?
I think the board maybe should discuss the recommendation of the Ulster County Planning Board and decide as a board if it will require from the applicant additional information to help it make a determination on this sign variance. I think if you want additional information on different sizes of signs and how they impact the neighborhood, how they impact traffic, etc. If you're going to ask the applicant to produce that, then I think the public hearing needs to stay
Stay
open
open.
for the receipt of that information. Now, there's also, forgive me if I'm wrong, there's also another sign.
There is another sign, that does not require a variance. It was
Right.
closer to 299, so it did have to go to the Ulster County Planning Board. That was the monument sign.
Understood.
But that was within code. Also because of the size of that sign and the location, we had to go back to planning board according to Lyle. You figured, or at least I had to go back to Ulster County Planning Board because we were moving it closer to 299.
You have a picture of it? There it is, yes.
I don't think that's gonna need an area variance at all, though. I
No,
don't
no,
think
no,
that'll have
I'm not
anything to do with
suggesting that, but I
ZBA.
am suggesting that the board, depending on the information that comes to you, is entitled to take into consideration, like it has done with every other, or a lot of other sign applications that have come before you,
Mhm.
the impacts of other signage on the property when it goes to the question of how much of a variance, if any, is required for this particular sign. You've looked at those with gas stations. Do you have other signs? Where are they? How big are they? Do you get customers as a result of those signs that helps make a decision about the size of the large sign? I mean, it's another part of the site that you're entitled to take into consideration. And some of the other additional information may or may not address the other signage to help the board make its decision.
And like I said before, we're willing to, look at the alternative options of other sizes for signs. We just feel like 32 square feet on a 50 foot linear face of a building is very, very, really small by comparison to other. signs.
Are these signs that you have proposed, are they going to be illuminated?
They are face lit or
In other-
exterior illumination.
from the down
Yeah, so
to
they're
the up.
not, they're not interior illuminated.
Do
I
they-
believe you
Can you,
recently
I don't know if you can tell that, that's like a strip light, and it's gonna point towards.
towards the
sun.
building,
Yeah.
yes, so onto the sign.
But the building is sloped.
Yeah, right,
The building is flat, but it'll be on the lean-to,
Okay.
so
right.
Okay.
So the
it'll
lean-to
point up
sloping down and
directly
it's gonna
to
point
the
up
building and will not be exposed, outside of the face of the building.
'Cause
So it won't
that's-
create any light pollution outside. of
Yeah,
that
the
area.
light is the issue that, I wanted to make sure that we discussed as well, because I know that with the, internally lit signs, there's a clear specification for what they need to be, but do we have, a code description for a backlit light like that?
Well, externally lit, it's not backlit.
I'm sorry, yeah, you're right, you're right.
Externally lit,
It's
yeah.
externally lit, but I guess what I'm trying to say is the light is pointing backwards, which was what one of the
Mhm.
the people that was here talking about it with us had mentioned a concern about that.
I think
I
think that's addressed in the site plan application.
I think so.
Yeah.
It should have been by the planning board, yes.
Okay,
And I think with the externally lit signs is actually part of the code, so that's actually within the code. The way we were
so you
illuminating.
can demonstrate that the amount of light needed to light a larger sign would still be within, like that was.
I believe that was submitted within the package. It also explains how the lighting system works.
But there's no, there's no, designation of how many lumens or.
Was there
Or-
another page that
There-
had? Yeah, right there. So it shows how it illuminates
Well, yeah,
and the impact.
yeah, sure. But normally,
Is this illuminated
That's
around?
illuminated, yes.
it's coming from.
No, no,
right
it's
down
coming
here.
from the bar.
It's pointing up at the light.
So it'll only illuminate the specific area of the signage
Mhm.
Okay,
and not create any light pollution outside of that source. So it would never actually be exposed to the neighbors that are behind the property.
Well, that's that's one of the things that we want to be absolutely.
Yeah, they'll
certain.
actually not be able to see that sign from their properties. Cause the face of the building is facing
that-
299. So
is-
that's why we were actually even proposing this is because the majority of exposure of that sign will be from traffic on 299. Old Route 299, we are the only property on Old Route 299.
Right,
The town owns Old Route 299. They actually inherited it from the state. And, again, it's a property, it's a road with one property on it. That runs adjacent to 299.
So I believe we are faced with a decision to make a decision or to extend the public hearing and have more information with regard to the choice and style of signs. Am I correct in that?
Well,
John?
But you know, I don't understand. We have an application in front of us with 156 square feet. And I don't understand now as to, even though there are drawings on here that indicate other choices, A, B, C, or D, that is not part of the application. Am I wrong?
Part of the application as a whole is that balancing test regarding the relief being requested by the applicant. The applicant's also saying there may be lesser size alternatives that the applicant would be willing to consider. For instance, an amendment to their application for less of a sign. I mean, there are things that additional information could turn up. One of your questions was, does anybody here have the expertise to make a decision? I'm just going to observe that the applicant's opinion is anything small, well, smaller signs are just too small. And we can't have smaller signs. We might entertain it, but they can't be too small. There might be opinions on the other side that says 32 feet enough.
I would recommend,
There's nothing that really, other than opinion, that supports either one of those positions on the record. On the record,
We have somebody standing at the microphone. Would you like to speak?
For you guys, I've never been to one of these before, so it's very cool. Couple of things.
Your name first,
I'm
please?
Sarah Hitchcock and I live at 26 Old Route 299.
Okay.
Oh.
This gentleman said there's
Oh, I thought
only
that-
one other property, clarification, only one property on Old Route 299. In fact, Old Route 299 goes all the way up to Lowe's, that intersection with Lowe's.
I didn't realize that other half was called.
It totally does. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So, and also the size, that is allowed, 30 something, is how many times less, or the proposal is how many times greater than the allowed sign?
4 or 5 times.
Yeah, it's not like a little bit.
Close to 5.
Yeah, that's gigantic, right? And I haven't seen a picture of what they're proposing. And they're not far from Route 299, like that's story that they're really appealing. Their specialty is that. Okay,
So that's what the maximum was, but we did submit several other options as well.
which some of these people don't even have.
Oh, no, they all have it.
Oh, yeah, he said even that they.
Oh, no, they received them all.
So they do have it.
Yeah, no, it was part of last planning,
And
or
I'm
zoning
not
board.
against the whole idea, but it's like considering that this part of the
This was some of the
neighborhood.
other options this side,
No, but it should be centered.
but this is what so this is what a 32 square foot sign looks like.
Right.
As opposed to, that's a 25 square foot sign. We had proposed that larger one, which is a 5'2" by 30 feet.
So here's.
This was another alternative option of 4 by
This is
30.
what. it
And I
is.
would recommend not
That's,
having it.
You know, that's the maximum that they.
Oh, this
That's the
thing is
30.
not gonna go there. That's just another
Okay.
example.
Okay.
That is a 32 square foot sign.
Okay.
That's to show you size comparison.
Yeah, and
Okay,
what-
so this is 30. What is this one?
This is a public hearing.
Okay.
Sure, but I also
You're
would say,
gonna
it's
respond.
it's not one building on Old Route 299, and the traffic, I don't know if it addressed, more importantly, the sign. That I, and in the town, I mean, village, and I guess I didn't know, but I'd like to be part of the conversation about traffic. With the
Okay.
inclusion of a business that may be very successful. And it can be seen from Route 299, and they can put a dispensary sign out there, like some other stores in town. So it's been charming to be with you guys, very cool, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So this one is 70.
I would like to get back to this question of the Ulster County Planning Board's letter. And I'll speak for myself here. They're giving us this option saying maybe you need more information, right?
Mhm.
In the form of a photorealistic simulation. I'll speak for myself here. I don't need that. That's not gonna help me, okay?
So I want to add to that, it's listed as a recommendation, on these. These aren't demands from the county planning board. They're recommending that this could happen.
If we need
And
it,
if you
we think we
dissect,
need
if
it.
if you pull this spaghetti apart of what they wrote there, it's pretty clear, it's absent compelling evidence that clearly indicates that the benefit desired cannot be achieved through the use of conforming signage. So we also, you had mentioned earlier about what makes us an expert on these types of matters. And frankly, it's what makes everybody an expert, and it's where this gentleman got the information. It's the code. That's what makes us experts on it. And it's not just resigned to us. It's not arbitrary. It's written down and it's put there for a reason for us to review and have discuss matters like this. So we have a line in the sand and we understand what that is.
And you're correct in that respect, that the size of the sign is determined by the lineage of the building. And that's, if it was a much large, let's say it was 3 times larger, then they would be entitled to have a larger sign than the 30.
I think there's a maximum square footage also within the code, which is 32 square
Okay.
feet. So it's not just solely the linear feet of zone.
That's correct.
Okay.
Not solely on the linear feet.
Yeah, because it's up to 1 square foot per 2 linear feet of building structure frontage or a maximum of.
Maximum 32.
So they maxed out their 32 quite quickly. I mean.
Yeah.
So a much smaller building could probably still have the same size sign.
You're right.
Well, I would like to ask my colleagues here if anybody else feels the need for additional information from the applicant, as the county planning board sort of suggests.
John, I'll jump in. I feel like I have sufficient information.
Right?
I have sufficient information. Stephen?
Good.
You may want to go through the 5 criteria.
We didn't go to there yet.
I know.
No, just,
Yeah.
Saying,
just a
We
general
just need
polling.
to establish
They
this
go through
first.
those.
Okay. Okay, there are 5 questions for area variances. The applicant should be prepared to address the following considerations at the time of the meeting.
Thank you.
Should this be separate from the public hearing?
Yeah, and that's one I think probably want to make it part of the hearing. Yeah.
Yes. Whether an undesirable change will be reduced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting of this area variance. Basically, there's a yes and a no answer from you, if you could, please.
No, I believe.
Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance.
No. I think maybe a different size, if I can
Okay.
add that.
Whether the requested area variance is substantial.
Yes.
Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No.
Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance.
I'm gonna have to say no to that one too, because I just didn't have any input on writing the code for this.
Okay. So now it's our turn as a board to discuss these answers to agree or disagree.
Does the board want to close the public hearing now?
Well, I would almost like our comments to be part of the public hearing, but is that necessary? Or that would be part of the minutes?
They're going to be part of the minutes anyway, and
Okay,
depending, they're also going to be part of your decision if you render one.
okay, entertain a motion to close the public hearing. By John, thank you. Need a second? Oh, I'm sorry, that was the second. All those in favor by aye? Aye, it is. Okay, public hearing is closed. Let's have a discussion on the answers. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting of the area variance.
Well, this one is where we have to make a judgment call. There's no clear delineation of what constitutes the character and when it's threatened. So in my view, the size that's requested in the variance clearly does have a negative impact on the character of the neighborhood, as we've heard neighbors agree with that sentiment, I believe. And I'm happy to see the applicant acknowledge that it's a substantial change. You can't say it any other way. I would say way substantial, but being that size, I think is clearly contrary to what the code is intending, and it's very clearly stated what the code is meant to do. And I think we should keep in mind, this is kind of a gateway district for the town of New Paltz, and character is especially important there as you enter the town. And you know, it's a not so clear dividing line between you know, a commercial district of businesses versus you know, another kind of neighborhood. And yes, there aren't a tremendous number of residences out there, but it still has an impact on people entering the town from that direction. And if the first impression is that this is a commercial district with big advertising signs, that's contrary to what we're intending.
It being a gateway district, there were limitations placed on the sizes of the signs so that they didn't have billboard signs,
Yeah,
that they didn't become a primary focus. And in my thought, I can't see to come to an agreement to allow a sign 5 times larger than that which is permitted, in the respect that I know we set up a standard. If we were to approve it, we'd have other people knocking at our doors for larger signs also. And I guess that the size recommendations were done with an intent to keep it appropriate.
I'd like to ask the applicant, because when we met before, I think you made the point that the nature of your business, it's a little bit of a destination business. It doesn't really depend on drive-by traffic saying, oh, look, there's a dispensary, let's go in. It's more of a known place that people would choose to go to.
Not necessarily. It's actually a brand new business that's never existed in that location. So you can't make that determination that people will know what it is. So
Okay.
you do have to use it as, I mean, signage on a building is just typical marketing, right? That's the first form of marketing. It was always, you put a sign up on your building if you're a business.
All right,
So we
I-
do have to market it as to what it is and hopefully attract customers. Again, I'll go back to, we're understanding of the idea that we went for a much larger variance request. But we are totally, on board with going with the smaller sign, but certainly we would like to go bigger than that 32 square feet. And I don't think, based off of how beautiful the project came out and the comments we're getting are, the place looks amazing. It's probably the nicest looking lot up on that four corners of the Ohiovilles and 299s.
Mhm.
I don't think us putting a slightly larger sign than what's allowed in the space will be a detriment to the neighborhood. I just want to reiterate that we're not putting up a really ugly sign. It's very professionally done. I could understand if it was an offensive sign, if we were putting up things that might be, giant pot leaves or something like that, but we've done a really respectable job of it, I think, and I think we've enhanced that
Are the signs,
gateway area.
on the signs on the door going to remain?
No, those are just temporary signs that we have up. I mean, we've had those signs up on our other store,
Mhm.
so we had those added on. But they don't have to remain, no.
Well, glass doors should always have something on them so people don't walk through.
Yeah, for sure.
That I will say.
I take your point, and my only counter to that is that, when it comes to drive-by traffic, you have two things going for you. You have a monument sign right on 299, and you have, well, not right on, okay.
Yeah, it's set back substantially. There's a park in front of it that'll
Yeah,
be blocking
I-
it with trees. And there's an entire bundle of trees that was just planted on the rail trail that will continue to mature and completely block that sign as well. So really, the only viewing point of that sign will be when you're at the traffic light possibly, or when you're on Old Route 299 or North Ohioville.
I don't believe there are any trees that were planted.
Along the rail trail, there's a bunch of flowering trees.
I know there were a whole bunch of trees there that were taken down.
Those were taken down by Central Hudson.
Yeah.
I don't think they're dying. They're brand new trees with the purple flowers on them.
They have been done.
Or pink flowers on it?
Particular ones you put in, but there's been no.
Now, when you were in here last month,
Yeah,
you said to us, I need the sign because there's tree branches in the way.
there are. If you go down to 299 where the
Should I show
intersection
you a
is,
picture?
there's where the war memorial is.
No,
It's definitely
no.
blocking.
You get off
that
the
side.
thruway, there was 5 trees in there. You said branches were in your way. That's why you wanted a bigger sign. You said it.
Those
I'm sure
5
they
trees.
have it on tape.
100%. Those
3
5
days
trees.
later, 5 trees are gone.
It was definitely not 3 days later, sir.
Okay,
I think that's an
5 days later. I
exaggeration.
went by on a Sunday.
But
I don't walk. This
I
body's
didn't
not
cut down those
exercise.
trees.
I'm talking. Trees are gone.
Yeah,
I'm sure everybody in here is complaining about trees. I'm not a tree hugger, I understand. But 5 days later, they're gone.
it wasn't.
You said, okay, I got pictures. You said to us at the meeting, I need the branches. People can't see my sign. That's what you said. You said the branches were hiding the sign.
I
that You were
did.
gonna put up. There's no trees. So what sign do you need? My vote is right now, no. The sign is too big,
So
then everybody else in the neighborhood's gonna say,
We need a
I'm
sign.
sure the eBay store is gonna say, I want a bigger sign. The liquor store is gonna say, so if you're coming into New Paltz, here's all these billboards. I understand your building is beautiful. I can fill that up with cars in a heartbeat. It's a nice building. You don't have your silo up. Okay, but you want a big sign.
no, but we're also saying that we're willing to amend.
Go with the, you
area
want less
variance.
aggravation
Go
in the
with
neighborhood?
smaller
People
sign.
live here before you came here. Put in a small sign, it'll be fine, make everybody happy. A nice sign, if you can't see that building from the thruway, then they need to smoke more marijuana. Okay, whatever they wanna do, they wanna drink, they wanna smoke, fine. But if you can't see that building coming off the thruway, come on,
It's not a matter of seeing the building. It's a matter of knowing what's in the building.
what?
If you see the
restaurant
Ulster
do you-
County, if you see the Ulster County call center right now, do you know it's the Ulster County call center?
know it's the
There's no
call
sign
center.
on it.
Where do you go
Can
to
you
eat?
tell that's what it
McDonald's or
is?
Burger King? You go to Taco Bell or you go to.
I mean, Taco
P&G's.
Bell got 4 side variances approved by this board. And they were all for different reasons that
But they
are
got-
not.
Get the
No, this is
monument.
a giant commercial company, Taco Bell. This is not a local business like I am.
When
But
you
they
get
were
gas,
able to get 4 side variances.
when you get gas for your car, where do you
Why
go?
why did Taco Bell need a larger monument sign? Was it because no one could see on Main Street?
They didn't
The
get a larger,
monument sign?
they did not get a larger monument
So why
sign.
did they get larger building signs?
Wait a minute, you just said, why did they get a larger monument?
So why did they get-
What they did was they put a line on the bottom that was not granted by us, and they lifted it up.
So they raised the height of it. That was the variance.
No?
No, that was,
What?
you're saying that they did something that they didn't have.
They just built a bigger bottom.
Isn't the bigger,
And,
isn't the
and then,
base,
and then it says,
isn't the base of the sign for a
we're not here to
monument sign
talk about Taco
down?
Bell.
Yeah, that's right.
We're not here. to
Well, I'm
talk.
just saying, it's a similar situation. You're giving arguments that, hey, how are, you could see your building. It's not a matter of seeing my building. It's a matter of knowing what's in my.
We know what's in it.
And this
And I
is-
hope you do
You,
good.
Steve,
I hope
you
you
know
do good,
what's in
but
it, but
I hope you
the
do
public
good.
doesn't.
I've come here with the same argument.
Okay,
We're,
okay.
okay.
I'm just
One at
saying
a
that the
time.
public that is not on this board or locally will not know what's inside that building if they can't see a sign. So we're proposing a larger sign. The sign we were proposing, I understand, is way too large for you guys to consider. What we're requesting is there another alternative size, which we've submitted several examples, that you guys would consider for us to get approval of?
Would you want sign 1, 2, or 3? You're not gonna get the big one. I'm a no on the big one, right off the bat, no. Do you want
Totally
sign-
understand.
Which sign would you?
I would ask the board to tell me which one that they would be much more comfortable with. We had 100 square foot one that was submitted. We had a 75 square foot one that we submitted. Would one of those be suitable for the building?
So this is your,
That was the largest.
forget that one, that's no.
Yeah,
Right off the
totally
bat.
understand.
Change your mind, come up with something better. Come up with a normal, what's the matter with this sign? The small one.
I think that is the
That's-
smallest sign.
That's okay, I'm good with the small one. Go with the town code. Because then everybody else in that neighborhood's gonna want a big sign.
I think that's the green space.
The guy at the gas station's wanting on a big sign. The,
I think the guy at the
The
gas
rest-
station got a new sign a couple of years ago that was already approved, so I mean, we have to make the request, right? That's the way it works.
My decision to pick one of those signs would be an arbitrary and capricious sign choice because I don't have the skill or the expertise to pick. I have to make, I believe that the decision has to be made as to what is presented to us.
do a monument by in front of the store and do the small one on the building.
Heather, I thought you were gonna say something.
I mean, to address your question, if we don't feel like we have the expertise to say anything other than the code, then we just need to return to the code.
Now, I would also say it's not about expertise. This is a judgment call. That's why we're here.
Yeah,
That's
I
what we
mean,
do.
I think that also I take very seriously the public comment that we got, also what the planning board has brought to us, and also, you know, what we got from the,
Building inspector?
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So, you know, all of these, express real concern with large signs. They express a concern with giving some kind of variance, which then, you know, just as stated there, Steve, would potentially set this precedent for other places wanting to do that. I mean, I recognize what, you know, what the applicant is saying, and I am sympathetic to it. But I think that we need to really think about our community and what it could do if we start having large signs on all of the buildings.
Especially in the Gateway District. As you enter in. Okay, the rest of these questions. We need to discuss them. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance. No. We all agree that the requested area variance is substantial, the applicant and the board. Am I speaking for the board?
Your.
Yes, the board is okay. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. We've heard from the public comment that they are concerned of their neighborhood. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration should be relevant to the decision of the zoning board of appeals, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. It's a large building.
Yeah.
And there is a limitation with regard to the number of square feet of the sign based on the linear footage of the building, but there's also a cap. And I think that thought of a cap was based in situations just like this that would come about.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
You were on number 2. The benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method other than an area variance feasible for the applicant to pursue. And I'm not sure that I heard a response to that. Or the response I heard was someone said no. But,
The applicant said no.
The applicant said no.
oh, yeah, okay.
That's falling apart.
Okay, any more comment? Heather?
So are we going to weigh in on each of these, or are we
Well, that's what our discussion is.
writing those down as people were saying? Just because I think that speaks to what you were saying, is did we decide that number 2 is a no?
Yes.
Because, I mean, perhaps there are other ways that they can achieve their goals.
But they're not presented. That,
Right. But this doesn't say that they need to be presented, it's just whether or not there are other options.
can the
Well,
applicant,
one other option is simply a 32 square foot sign.
Right,
Okay.
yes.
The other is, and the idea that there might be a smaller sign, says the applicant, that they might
smaller than the 32?
smaller than.
Smaller than the
current
original.
application. And that's been talked about, but not discussed.
So the applicant's on record saying, no, there's no other way other than a variance that will meet my purposes.
Other than a variance.
Yeah, other than a variance, and
No
that's what
question.
we're talking about.
The size, the question there is then the size. And maybe the board feels there is no size that it would consider for variance purposes for the reasons that you're expressing.
I think that's exactly where we are in this discussion. We're saying, is it possible that there's another option?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We've heard at least one opinion saying no.
Well, anything's
That's all we heard.
possible.
Yeah,
Right,
Anything is possible,
so
but the correct choice of a possibility is so what is the correct choice of the possibility? One step down, one step up? I believe that the code was set as a standard for its purpose. Now, the purpose of a variance is to adjust accordingly. But I don't believe that, again, I will say that I don't have that capability to make that adjustment. Which one would you want?
I would be willing to take any alternative option that's gonna increase the size than the 32 square feet, because I don't believe that that's actually really visible from a driving perspective. Based off of my extensive knowledge in sign work, something that I've been doing for years for several companies, so
I think.
I would request
that-
something, anything larger than the 32 square feet is gonna definitely benefit us.
I think that makes the decision to amend your application in the hands of,
Yeah.
and I don't know that they have jurisdiction or should entertain a request that way. If you have a square footage in mind that you want to submit, you do that, but I don't think you can ask the board to make
So-
the variance for you.
Gotcha. I have one of the submissions there. And since you guys feel so strongly that 156 square feet is totally a no, I can understand that. We did submit one version that was 75 square feet.
77.
Or 77,
Mhm.
yeah. So this one is 77, and I think it fits within the character of the market there. I think it fits within the character of the building. It'll be much more visible than the 32 square feet without it being imposing.
We should also take into consideration what the planning board said.
And I think the biggest concern of the planning board was that it was such a large variance that we were requesting, 156 square feet.
Almost 5 yeah.
Well, I would say that before I am prepared to make any decision on the adjustment of the size, I would like it to be presented to the planning board to possibly get their blessing.
Whoa,
That's not unfair.
I think that's reasonable.
say that again?
Whichever sign is chosen above the 30 square feet,
By us?
No,
No,
Yeah.
I would amend my application.
it would amend his
And go back
application.
to the planning board for their review to get kicked back to you guys for another meeting,
so then they
to
would,
get their recommendation.
would give
based on
us
the amendment.
their recommendation.
I don't like it. I mean, this is our job to do, to assess this whole situation.
We have the, and then again, take the devil's advocate, that it comes back with a no recommendation, follow the code. Then we're back to square one. We have the,
What I see is a scenario where they come back and say, okay, this smaller sign looks okay to us. Then we come back and we say, well, I still don't like it, and
Yeah.
what have we gained?
Yeah, I think that we would be asking them for their recommendation if we thought we would follow it, but if
Yeah, we might
if we're
not.
gonna make our own decision, then we might as well make a decision.
That's what I'm sort of saying, or trying to say.
John makes a good point. It really isn't the role of the planning board to make that determination. It's a variance application and it's within the province of this board
Yes.
to decide it.
would you like to make a recommendation for the granting or the denial of this variance?
Are we still discussing, or are we looking for a motion?
You done discussing, John?
I'm done.
Heather?
So, okay, so I just wanna talk through options. Our options would be to just basically deny any variance flat out and say that's the end of the story. Or to return it back and have them resubmit if we thought that we might. I'm just asking, is that kind of what our options are here? We can approve it, we can deny it. And I mean, if we deny it, then they can choose.
Maybe that's a
to
Joe
resubmit.
question.
I mean, as far as our discussion goes, that's where we're at.
Yes.
I mean, that's where you're at, yeah. If you deny it, you deny it. The applicant will then do what the applicant's going to do. The applicant technically would be free to make a new application.
Sure, I
or a
understand that.
new variance.
Do they have to wait a year?
No,
Okay,
but I think that there would need to be, as part of that submission, a very compelling argument as to why the board should, it's not really a rehearing, but it's almost equivalent to a rehearing. What evidence would the applicant present that would convince the board to hear this all over again after they've made a determination? And you may or may not want to do that. Ulster County Planning Board made some suggestions. About group, up to the applicant. But if you deny it, you deny it, then it's up to the applicant to do what the applicant's gonna do.
well,
What happens if somebody moves to deny the application and that motion doesn't carry? Then where are we?
No,
If that motion gets
Yeah.
voted down,
I think it's better to approve that somebody's gonna motion to approve it, right? And then,
yeah,
Well, hold on.
I'm just,
because we're
As first,
trying to approve this particular.
yeah, that's how it should go.
if I say I would amend it to the 77 square foot example that I've given them, would that count, or would it have to go through it?
77 is still double,
Yeah,
Yeah,
more than double.
yep,
You can say it, doesn't.
it doesn't matter, I could still apply
May
for
not be
it.
convincing.
Okay, gotcha.
You can say it now, but it may not be convincing.
I hear you.
I'm prepared to make a recommendation based on what is presented to us in the application.
You want to make a motion?
Entertain a motion for denial of the 156
.25.
0.25 square feet to present to be on 1 Old Route 299, New Paltz, New York,
So it's a resolution to deny.
to deny. So I have a second,
You do.
seconded by John Decker. Roll call vote, John Decker. Okay, Heather? Yes. Leonard, yes. John?
Yes,
Stephen?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that it?
That's it?
Thank you.
Okay. You send them a letter?
Yes.
Okay.
I do, I live right.
What is today, the 18th?
Can we kill the video?
You have to, well, you have to wait till the end of the
Sure,
meeting.
that's
then?
okay.
You gotta close the meeting first. Do you have the rest of the application?
This,
Yeah, it was all, well, there was a whole application that was being
Oh,
passed
yeah.
around. That was,
and you'll need this too? Okay, so this action report that needs to go to, yes. Are we still on or off? We're still on?
Yeah.
Okay, any new business? No applications for review? No other business? Entertain a motion to close the meeting, May 18th, 2026. Seconded by John. All those in favor by aye? Aye, it is. I thank you all for this evening. I thank the public for coming.
I think the microphones are loud.